Hello YouTube, this is Candid Colorful Me. I wanted to give a quick bio of how I came upon Candid Colorful Me and a quick bio of my life. Again, I am 36 years old and I am trying to heal and reinvent myself, and I've just stumbled across of who I possibly am. I believe that I'm a speaker and a writer, and so I am pursuing that purpose. So many people told me that I should be doing something other than the things that I do. I know I'm plain faced it today. I've been very, very busy handling my kids and just being a mom and working, and it's so much on my plate. But I was abused as a child. And I know that this is the story for many, many, many women and men. Both of my parents were addicted to crack cocaine. I am the oldest of 7 children. My mom had 3 boys and 3 girls. And I actually have 3 brothers that I cannot find. We all got lost in the sauce and separated through foster care. It started, as much as I can remember, when I was about 2 years old. My dad burned my feet. He put me in a tub of hot water. I don't think that it was purposely, but by him being under the influence, he wasn't more careful. This was only the beginning of a horrific life. My dad and my mom fought all the time. I watched my dad really beat up my mother. Most times we didn't even know who she was. We would go to family's house and they'll be like, "What the hell happened to your face?" And she'll say, "Well, I ran into a wall or I fell." And the marks and the way her face looked, you can tell that my father was beating her up, and she just wouldn't admit it. I spent a good part of my life watching this. There was hardly no food in the house. There were times we didn't have lights, we didn't have gas, or we just didn't have food to eat. It was very hard for me being the oldest because I saw everything, and so my feelings towards my parents are a lot different from my other siblings. I was the one who built up hate for them. Well, I was molested as a child. The first time I was molested, it was by my father. He touched me in an area that he shouldn't have touched me. He was, again, under the influence, and I was sitting on the couch and he was feeling around looking for something or whatever the case may be. And before we knew it, I found his hands in my underwear, and he kind of pierced me with his finger. That was the first and the last time my father did it. It actually scared him. It was something that I believe he didn't want to do, but something that the drug made him do. He spent a lot of time trying to ask me for forgiveness for that But again, it was so much abuse. I mean, I remember me and my sisters and brothers having to be up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning scrubbing clothes on a scrub board in the bathtub and wringing them out and hanging them on the clothesline or the gate outside. And we had to be to school in the morning. There's a lot of times I missed school because I had to stay home and take care of my sisters and brothers. Excuse my birds. They're my friends. My birds are my friends. My birds, my dogs, and my kids are my friends. I hope that I don't grow old with a bunch of animals around me. But as you can see, I like to joke through the pain. It makes it kind of easier to cope if I did that. I watched my dad abuse not only my mom, but me and my sisters and my brothers. We've drunk gallons and gallons of water until we've thrown up. We've been beaten with belts and crowbars and broomsticks and anything that my dad could find. He also was good at karate. So, I mean, if you didn't do what you were supposed to do, my dad was going to karate kick you. I mean, it was just a lot of times that he was just purely angry. And I believe that the drug made him even more angrier. So dad worked during the day and I started willingly allowing myself to be molested. You could probably say at 8 or 9, I was willingly letting older men touch me to get money for them so that I could help feed me and my sisters and my brothers. I was born in the 80s and molestation wasn't really talked about the way it's talked about now. It was like, hush, 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 here's some money. Man, I was, again, 8 or 9, climbing in and out of vans, creeping in and out of men's houses. Like, I don't know if it was this spirit upon me that they knew that I was vulnerable and that they knew that they can touch me. This made me very promiscuous with the boys. I had to be around boys and in men's face and stuff like that. Some things I'm not too proud of, but I'll always be honest. I'm trying to keep it together. It was a lot of this. My grandmothers on both my mom and my dad's side helped raise us, and if it wasn't for their guidance, I really don't know where I would be as a woman. I also had some good foster parents, but I was also molested in my first foster home, which made me hate people. My first foster mother was very, very mean and evil, and she had so much toxic things going on in her house. I don't even know how she had her license. I remember being so afraid to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night because her son would meet me in the dark and force me to give him oral sex. At this time, I was about 10, 11. Well, let me go back a little bit. The day I got taken away from my parents was the most scariest day of my life. Like, you know, you've been living in pain and hurt all your life, and on one side you're like, oh, I'm getting ready to be free. But on the other side, you're like, I'm going to be stripped away from my parents. Stripped away from the only thing I know. So our first foster home, the lucky part of it is that at the time there were 4 kids and we got to all be together. This doesn't happen often because there is not enough room in foster care for all siblings to be together. So most times you get split up. But we were together, and again, at my first foster home, it was horrific. Like, by the time I left there, I completely hated men. I would love to be around them. I would love to get what I can get from them. But I pretty much hated men. I could not stomach men. Didn't trust them. I'm still working on trust. The things that could keep us bound. My foster mother, again, I was scared. I was afraid to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night because her son would meet me in the middle of the night, and make me give him oral sex. And it was just so mean and evil and scary. And again, I was a child. Like, what are you doing? You're taking my innocence away from me. These things are not easy to face, but these things we have to face so that we can heal. My foster mother, the way she found out, she never believed what I was saying, but I was so scared of him that I used to use the bathroom in the room on the side of the bed and on the floor. And one day she came into my room and it smelled like urine. Like, there was no way that you can cover up that smell. And she immediately asked me what was going on or whatever the case may be. And I told her, I just came out and told her that your son, Robert, was touching me. And he was making me give him oral sex. And he was trying to have sex with me. And she completely denied it, completely never acknowledged it. And she locked me in the bathroom for 7 days. I was not allowed to turn on the lights. She was just like, if you don't know how to go to the bathroom, then you're going to be staying. The bathroom is where you're going to be at. And so she locked me in the bathroom. I couldn't turn on the lights. I ate in the bathroom, on that bathroom floor. I did everything in the restroom until my social worker came and got me. And then when my social worker came, at this time, I'm just like, no one ever was going to believe what I said, what I say or whatever. They're not going to trust me and my little old words. So I just kept the whole experience to myself. And I took the blame for the things that were going on and the things that were happening to me. And eventually, me and my brothers and sisters, when they took me away, I got separated from my siblings. Sorry. Being separated from my sisters and brothers was so hard for me because I was just going to foster home. I didn't know anybody. Didn't really want to get too close to anybody. But then on the flip side, I was really, really needy. And again, I wanted to be in men's face. And although I didn't really trust them, it was a certain kind of comfort that I found in men. I had quite sexual experiences, but I didn't actually have intercourse until I met this older man. He was a security guard at my school, and my story is so big that I'm kind of all over the place. I mean, right now I'm just getting all these visions of my father really, really beating my mom. My mom's best friend was like 16 years old. I mean, it's a lot of stuff that I'm kind of skipping around because I guess it's supposed to be in the book that I'm writing. I'm sorry, I'm taking so long to split it out. Spit it out, spit it out, spit it out, spit it out. I've seen my mom get trains ran on her by gang members. Man, I've seen so much stuff in my lifetime. But again, foster home to foster home. And I didn't actually have intercourse until I met the older guy. But I don't consider him have took my virginity. I feel like Damon was very, very, very abusive too. Like if I wouldn't do certain things sexually for him, like I was teaching school, if I didn't do certain things sexually for him, he would lock me in the restroom. He would pin me down on the bed and tell me that I couldn't leave, which would mean my foster parents and stuff would wonder where I was. I remember a time him holding me up and, pinching my nipples and squeezing, and I'm just hollering, and him pretty much putting a pillow over my face. And at the time, I'm like 14 years old. And I'm in a hotel right across from the school that I did school from. Before I knew it, I finally got away from him for a moment. And I met my kid's father. And oh my God, Jason. Sweetest thing I ever known. Oh my God, like I was so in love with that man, like from the first day I seen him. And I was this extra fast little girl, so when I saw him at school, you would catch me dancing, trying to get his attention. You would catch me doing the splits, all kinds of stuff just to get his attention. And before I knew it, I wrote the old school "I like you," the yes or no letter, check the box. And he checked yes, and we started hanging out. It was just something about him that I was attracted to. He was really, really handsome, and he stayed to himself. But as I got to know him, I really got to know him. He was involved, he was hustling, he was gang banging, he everybody respected him, which made me respect him even more. But the two toxins in our lives didn't mix, and we would break up, get back together, break up, get back together, and then I got pregnant. And I really didn't know where he was, but happened to come across him and told him that I was pregnant. And he really did embrace it with open arms. He didn't deny my baby. And we began life together. But I think that we were forced into it by the fact that I was pregnant, and I don't know, life just spiraled out of control. Again, I was fast, so I started messing with other guys in our time of being split. And then I can't hold water, so I told him, I messed with so-and-so and so-and-so. And he got really, really angry because I slept with somebody while I was pregnant with his child. And I think in his head, he really wanted me to make adult decisions. I had also lied to him about my age and said that I was way older than I was. And yeah, the way he found out about that is, well, I got student of the month at school and had to write an autobiography. And they put my picture up with my autobiography, and he saw it in the school hallway. He was angry. He tried to break up with me, and he pretty much did. And then I wrote him another letter like, please forgive me. I'm ready to have sex. And he was happy, and we had sex, and we made a baby. And that's how my oldest daughter came along. Again, our life was very, very toxic. We probably should have never been together, or we probably should have been friends, or we probably needed much counseling. Before I knew it, my cheating ways, and I'm pretty sure he had other women, it just kept adding fuel to the fire, and before I knew it, I was reliving my past. I was my mom, and I saw him as my father. I remember after having the baby, we were somewhere at a family function or whatever, and there was a bunch of guys there, and he thought I was flirting with the guy from across the table. And I think we were already into a fight beforehand, but when we got to this function, there were guys sitting at the table, we're playing dominoes and stuff like that, and he got really, really angry, and this was the first time that he pulled me away from everybody. He yelled at me, and before I knew it, he choked me up. Before I knew it, I was in an abusive relationship. I mean, he would tell me that I caused him to be this way, and a lot of times I still be like looking at me and saying that it's all my fault. Like, what could I have done differently? Could I have loved him differently? Very, 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 very abusive and toxic relationship. We used to fight all the time, and before I knew it, the kids started coming back to back, and so much stuff. You know, I've been living in our houses and maybe turned into dope houses because he's hustling and he's trying to make ends meet for me and the kids. And but at the same, it's like we want to be together but don't need to be together. And I don't know, I guess you know, I'm just rattling on trying to get it all out. But you can pretty much get where I'm coming from. It was very, very, very toxic. He was cheating. I was cheating. We were fighting in front of the kids all the time. I was pretty much afraid of him. And that's why I stayed. I've tried to commit suicide before. I took a bunch of Vicodins and birth control pills, and I've done all kinds of stuff to try to end my life, but it didn't work. I'm still here. I'm still here. I don't know, like, it was so crazy. It was so toxic. I mean, this man used to pull guns on me or whatever the case may be. And before I knew it, you know, I was scared to leave him, but I became even more promiscuous. And I had to find comfort somewhere. So I started sleeping around massive with different other men. I got hooked up on the internet, on websites, and I was taking nude pictures and I was sending them across the state. I was sending them to locally, all types of pictures nude, and with clothes on, and just totally not being a wife, because by this time, we had been married for like 5 years. I got married when I was 18, and I pretty much forced it. I was like, you're going to be popping me, you're going to be putting your hands on me, you're going to be telling me what I can do and what I cannot do. We may as well get married. And that's what we did. And I think I more so married the pain and the hurt and the toxicity more than I married the man. I became my mom full circle, and that's very, very uncomfortable for me to say. I walk past the mirror sometimes now and I'm like, Ginger, you look just like your mom. And at this time, I don't want it to be a bad thing. I just kind of want to like a GPS system, reroute her steps. I don't want to end like she's ending. My mom is now bipolar schizophrenic, and she is battling light dementia. So she never healed from the things that she has been through, and I am trying my hardest to heal, and I am healing in a lot of ways. My children are definitely my strength, and they definitely helped me. I'd say about 6 years ago, I had 2 more kids, and I was just like, you know what? I don't even want them to have to go through what my 3 older kids had to go through. I know what it is to be that child. I got to get out. So I left. And I left a couple times. There was a time he caught me on the phone with a man, that I had fallen in love with from off the internet, and I had actually met up with the guy a couple of times, and he was so good to me that I was afraid and I was scared, and so I ran from him too. And I went back to my husband, but I was still talking to him. Me and my husband tried being apart and living in the same house. That didn't work because it was just like, I tried to sleep in a room with the kids, and we'll still end up sleeping together. Sometimes for me, it was forced. I didn't really want to sleep with him. I was really over him. But it was just seems like something that I had to do. And I got pregnant with my 5th child in the process. And before that, he caught me on the phone with the man, and I was doing someone's hair, and he went ballistic. That phone said, "My heaven sent hubby," and he's my husband, and he saw that name come across the phone. Oh my God, he was so livid. I was flat ironing my client's hair, which is also my friend. And he must have snatched that flat iron out of the stove, and he was chasing me around the house with it. I must have grabbed the phone, dialed 911, threw it in the closet, and before I knew it, we ended up in the bathroom, and he had me down in the bathtub, and he was stomping me and just kicking me and kicking me and kicking me, and then he pulled out his gun, and my whole life flashed across my eyes. Like I just went blank. Like I just knew that I was getting ready to die in that house with my kids. I heard the gun click, and then it clicked again, but nothing happened. I mean, I would have thought that I was shot, because again, I went completely blank. And then my middle daughter opened the door for the police, and they rushed in there and they got him. I left for a little bit, and me, I had started going to church a few years before, so I ended up going back because everybody was trying to convince me that you got to make sure that God is leading you out of something. And I would think that he was, because what God wants you to be imprisoned and hurt and in pain and suffering and just toxic. I had to get a way to get myself right and to get my kids right and just to give us a better life. And I remember having talks with my kids like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. I got to leave. I got to go. And I ended up, when I finally left, and I left for good, I ended up leaving my kids with my kid's father, because most of the time I feared him, and he would tell me like, you're not fucking taking my kids from me. You're not. I will kill you. I will kill me. I will kill myself. I would do this. I would do that. Like, you know, so many years at this time. It was 17 years of hearing how a person will kill you. They don't care about, you know, going to jail or nothing like that. Like, you're a bitch, you're a hoe, you're this, you're that, you'll never be nothing. Nobody's never going to want you. All this stuff, people telling you all these things, you begin to believe it. But I had to like pull on my faith, and I had to get away. And so I did. And I've now been on my own for almost 4 years. I left 6 years. I did a couple of years like house to house and not really knowing where I was going. Eventually, he gave me the kids because they were moving out of the house that we shared. And he eventually gave me the kids, and now we co-parent. And we actually get along most of the time. You would be very surprised of our relationship now. We are not intimate. We are nothing like that, but we are separated and we co-parent. He lives his life and I live mine, although we still need a divorce. I'm kind of scared to push the line. He keeps saying that we're going to do it, that we're going to divorce. And I'm thinking maybe part of him not wanting to divorce me is that he still loves me, but he's very prideful, or that he doesn't want to pay child support, which I really truly don't want child support. I don't even care about that thing. I just want my name back, and I just want to start fresh, and I want to live my life and finally be completely free and happy. This video is long, so that's a short story. And to explain the candid, colorful me, when I started writing my book and going through the molestation and the abuse of my childhood, I started being attracted to all these wild colors and stuff, and doing my eyebrows, and I got to be really, really colorful. And I'm comfortable with that way, but I'm just now getting really, really comfortable with it because a lot of people judge. They don't know where the colors come from, and they're most likely not used to people being themselves. And so I get stared at, and, you know, I actually, when it first started happening, and again, I was going to church, I pretty much got ridiculed in church. I was called a